you for being with us here today. As an artist, it is my job to comment on society and point out the way towards evolution of the human race. There are presently 30 million women and children living in poverty that wouldn't be if women were paid equally. I could not, in good conscience, continue to keep my head down and do nothing in the face of an illegal and oppressive status quo. The crime that must be judged here today is not the minor crime of painting washable paint on the sidewalk, but the crime is denying more than half of us our basic human and civil rights under the law.
Woo! Patricia, you're next.
I'm just glad to be here to stand in support of Natalie and her brave action to call attention to a long-standing injustice that needs to be addressed. We have half of American families are now being fed by female breadwinners. We have 1 in 5 hungry kids in America, and a big reason for that is that women are not paid their equal dollar because they're female.
At this moment in our country's history, we women stand together with one voice to say American women are no longer willing to wait for equal rights. For 230 years, our government, the United States government, has ignored the civil and human rights of more than half the population, and we can no longer afford to tolerate this institutional injustice.
While over 80% of the population believes otherwise, women urgently need to continue to fight for their rights and finally ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. Artist Natalie White's trial precedes the Women's March on Washington and is an opportunity to raise awareness of that.
Women and girls have been deliberately excluded from our Constitution, but equality is our birthright as American women and as human beings. Equal means equal, and we support Natalie White in her just protest against what is a criminal oppression of American women. Thank you for coming. Please spread the word and come to the Women's March and support all women and their equal rights, and support Natalie White and her just protest for all of us. Thank you.
I'm out here outside the District Superior Court in Washington, D.C. with activist and artist Natalie White. She was arrested several months ago for painting "Pass the ERA" in giant red letters in front of the U.S. Capitol building. And we just want to ask her about that. She's representing herself today in court. And what can you explain, very briefly, the history of the ERA? A lot of people don't know what it is.
Sure. So the ERA was proposed in 1923 by Alice Paul, and in the early 70s, it passed Congress and the Senate. It had this really short time limit on it, so in 1982, it failed ratification. We came up 3 states short. And so the real crime here, I think, is the systemic oppression of women, because here we are in the land of the free and we don't have equal rights in our Constitution for women. When we forced Afghanistan to put an equal rights amendment into their Constitution, but we don't have one in our own. And because of that, the United States has failed to ratify the UN Bill of Rights for Women, and the other countries that haven't ratified are Iran, Somalia, Sudan, South Sudan, and 2 Pacific Island nations. So if women's rights are really human rights issues, we have a big human rights problem in the United States in common with those countries.
Comparable to Gulf monarchs, no less.
Exactly.
So you say that you used washable paint for this?
Water-soluble paint.
Water-soluble paint. So why do you think that they're charging you?
I don't know. You would really have to ask them. But, there is something to say about the government going after activists. And, what I did was not permanent. What the United States has done to women is permanent. That's the real crime here.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, too.